Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Marty of Samburu County. Spare me a little bit of your time to share with you what this great son, Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto, actually means by his clarion call of bottom-up socio-economical development approach. Having been a student of social work and community development at the University of Nairobi, bottom-up used to be an examination question where you could be asked to explain what it means and its efficacy in enhancing development either in a community or a village, as opposed to top-down method of approach, which I will explain later. For any tangible or meaningful development to take place, bottom-up is the way to go. Bottom-up is the remedy. When you hear of first world, second world countries, Asians included, the Chinese, the Indians, the so-called tigers of Asia, the Koreans, whose GDP, we are told, were at par with Kenya in 1963 when we attained independence. Actually, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his 12th December Jamhuri Day speech, he had actually wondered how did these countries went ahead of us in terms of socio-economical development. What actually happened? In fact, just to reply, my beloved President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, whom I love, whom I voted for in 2013 and 2017, what happened is that those countries ambitiously, radically, and aggressively adopted the bottom-up socio-economical approach, where resources are sent to the villages, to the grassroots, so that development takes place at the grassroots, so that individuals, communities, villages are empowered to do development. Those countries today are 18 times ahead of us in terms of, or say 50 years ahead of us in terms of development. So the DP's bottom-up approach is actually a summary of its manifesto. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap that indicates how he intends to do for the country when he becomes the President of the Republic in 2022. In that this idea is a factual idea. It's an empowering idea. It's a valid idea. It's an idea that has been globally tested, tried, and accepted. The US has 52 states. The US has 52 states, equals to 52 countries in Africa, with one president. India, a whole subcontinent with numerous states, has one prime minister. China, the fastest continent in the world, has one prime minister. You know what, fellow Kenyans? It is super development taking place in those countries. It is all system go in terms of socio-economical development in those countries. Why? Just because courtesy of bottom-up socio-economical approach, where resources are sent to the grassroots. I said this again earlier, to empower individuals, to empower communities, so that growth starts from the grassroots high up. I remember, sorry, you'll excuse me, I followed President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's speech on 12th December. I remember him saying, for one to construct a house, you don't do it from the top. You do it from the grassroots high up. That grassroots, the president says, is just but bottom-up skill, bottom-up approach. For that house to withstand the times, it must have strong foundation. So here is a case where development takes place at the grassroots through the bottom-up approach. There is no fuss about it. That one is a fact. Bottom-up approach has merits and demerits. And actually, bottom-up approach, socio-economic development, has more merits than demerits. One of it is it enhances development in a nation. It strengthens socio-economical well-being of the people. The residents feel proud in their development agenda. It limits white elephant projects at the grassroots. And then, above all, it instills a sense of ownership by the residents in their development agenda. I'm now talking about the bottom-up, because they will, at the end of it, they will say, the residents will say, we have done it for ourselves. Do you know why? Because they were involved in the planning, in the implementation to the end of their projects. Those are the essence, that is the essence of bottom-up approach. So this brilliant idea from this brilliant man, Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto, needs not to go to drain. We need to tap it. It's worth being evaluated, because it's an idea that's putting us on the right track, on the right lane. Actually, the president, now, as I had promised to explain the contrast between bottom-up and the top-down approach. The top-down approach, that's where we failed as a country. This is the idea that we inherited from the colonialists and our successive governments, all the way to 2010 when we ushered in the new constitution. That's when Nairobi used to decide to make decisions for the districts and ending up making wrong decisions. Wrong decisions. Creating disparities in development. They say we want to do agriculture in Wajir and Turkana, yet there is no irrigation. That land is not cultivable, it's not arable. This is top-down, is the one that created marginalization. Because people sit in Nairobi, they say, let's make decisions for the counties. You can't make decisions for people when you are not with the people. You are not spending nights with them. You are not together with them. You will end up making wrong decisions. And in top-down approach, there is you create imperial leadership, imperial presidency, and people have apathy of, apathy here means unwillingness of the people to take part in development. When you are using, this is when you are using top-down approach, because you have not involved them in planning, in implementation, up to the success of it. That is where we failed as a country since now. Those who are opposed to this idea, the so-called the naysayers, are just doing it blindly, because of political inclination, political affiliation, and for those who want to rubbish the deputy president's idea, are themselves rubbish. They are not honest to the country. They are not being honest to the people of this country. They are not even honest to themselves. Because bottom-up is an idea, and I said, has been tested, tried, and accepted globally. It works miracle as opposed to top-down approach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm lecturing you what I studied. I told you I'm an alumni of the University of Nairobi, Faculty of Education and External Studies. That is my field. That's what I attained. So I'm lecturing you on what I know and on a fact. So the deputy president is actually telling us a fact about bottom-up socio-economic approach. Now, this man called Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto and his bottom-up approach. The good thing about it is that it is his original idea. It is his brainchild, so he's likely to implement it to the letter should he assume office next year, come 22 next year. And because he is himself a product of bottom-up approach. Why am I saying so? We have all been told, you have all heard that he began selling eggs at his Sugoi home, where I happened to be when we went for a delegation to Samburu to go and pray for him and President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, so that they are not yelled by ICC. I was there. I saw the stall that he used to come bring eggs and stock it, Access Market, just along by the roadside of Eldoret Kitale Road. That stall still stands. This is a man who empowered himself, because in community development, you can empower yourself or you can be empowered. Individuals can empower themselves or they can be empowered. Communities the same. The villages the same. So here is a case of a man who radically, aggressively empowered himself by starting selling eggs. He became the MP of that area, or rising up high up the ladder to where he is today. And I'm telling you, he's just about to cross the river to the next bank of the river. That is Canaan. When you hear him support Mama Mboga, Boda, he's doing it because he is a master of bottom-up approach. This is a courageous man. This is a man who had the audacity and temerity to pronounce 3 big no's against BBI. No, no, and no. When others had retreated to their cocoons or had their tails between their hind legs, when goons booed and heckled him at the Bomas of Kenya West, where I was in attendance, he stood his ground and said no and no to BBI. And you know what, fellow Kenyans? Our referred courts eventually negated BBI. They nullified it by saying what? It is unconstitutional, which went to an agreement with the deputy president's stance against BBI. So this is a courageous leader who can move things when he becomes the president of this country. The issue of name calling him ho, suji ho, halichukua hii suji nini, that one only encourages him to become the best president Kenya has ever had, or in the Kenyan history, to the chagrin and to the amazement of many of you. Fellow Kenyans, having lectured you on all that, on what I know and what I studied, and I repeat what I attained during my studies, I only ask you, don't throw barbs at me, do not snipe at me, do not sneer at me, do not hate me, bear with me. Otherwise, it is my constitutional right to support whom I desire, same as you out there. Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto, fellow Kenyans, to you all, I salute you wherever you are. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.